Hello everyone, it's Angie here at Beads and Plenty More. Today I thought I'd show you how to do this treasure necklace. So this is encompassing a no-hole stone done with knots to hold it in place. And then I've got just a basic, because this was long enough I didn't bother to put a clasp on, I just put a knotted end on it at the end. So let's get started. As always, I'll post a tutorial list at the end, or a materials list here at the end, so that you know exactly what to get if you're going to make this project along with me. So we're going to start out with this Brazilian wax cord here, and what I've done is I've cut 6 pieces that are 1 meter long each, about 40 inches each, and we're going to measure. I cut these pieces 1 meter long, and then I realized that I did all my measurements in inches. So here it is. We're going to measure 6 inches in from the end. I've got all the pieces matched up together. And in that 6-inch mark, I am going to take it and I'm going to create an overhand knot. So around and through with all 6 pieces. Now when you get this tied, if you're 5.5 inches and not 6 inches, it's not the end of the world, because this is the part that's going to be the tassels at the bottom of the necklace. So they can be a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. So the finished length on my necklace was 32 inches of actual necklace, and then the stone and the tassel hung below that. So now what I'm doing is I'm separating out these long pieces into 3 units. So I've got 3 units with 2 strands on each. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the 1 unit and I'm going to tie a little overhand knot. Oops, just hit the camera, sorry about that. And I don't really want that knot very far from my beginning. So I'll get that tight. And to give you a reference here, grab the tape measure. It's about 1/2 inch from the original knot. And you can be a little more, a little less. If your stone's a little bigger, you may want to be a little more. My stone, I think it's about 1 inch across. So it's not a very big stone. This is an Amazonite stone that I'm working with. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 here. So I've got these 3 units here, and then I'm going to redivide them again. So I'm going to take the 2 that are side by side, and we're going to tie a knot with them. So again, leaving a little bit of space, and then another overhand knot. So you'll see me kind of holding the knot where I want it to be. You can guide it so that it closes up here in a spot where it works for you. And then we move on. Take the 2 side by side, and about the same distance up. If anyone's done plant hangers, this is going to seem very familiar. And it's not an exact science. If you're a little bit off and your knot's a little bit higher up, it's not going to matter, because your stone's not exact either. Okay, so now I've got I've got my little basket that I'm going to put my stone into. I usually do the first knots without worrying too much about the stone. But then as you work further up in the stone, you're going to actually have to figure out where your knot needs to be to make it sit right. So you do actually have to insert the stone in and take a look at where your knot needs to be. So get it in there nice and tight. Get it sitting where I want it. And then I can match up my 2 cord ends again. Tie another overhand knot. Move on to the next one here. This will start to tighten up as you get further into it. I'm going to put the stone back in so I don't tie it up to the point where I can't put the stone in. Okay, my last 2 are over here. All right, so now I think I'm far enough up the stone that I'm just gonna pull everything nice and tight at the top here. And matching all the cord ends up, I'm going to tie one more overhand knot here. And I'm just pulling the individual cords to make sure that knot's good and tight. There we go. Everything's sitting good. So from this point, I actually took my cords and I divided them up. So I've got 3 cords on one side, 3 cords on the other. And I didn't want the beads to come right down to my stone, so I actually tied one more knot. Just so that they weren't right up against the stone. So now I get to start playing with my pretty beads here. And I've got, oh, this one's a jade bead actually. It's a dyed jade. And it's a 6mm bead. And then I picked a nice little metal bead. So this one's about a 4mm. There's lots of different ones you could use here. And then I've got a 6mm seed bead. The smaller the beads, you want to watch that the hole sizes will actually go over your thread. Your thread's about, it's about a 1mm thread, so you want to make sure that the hole size will work with it. So now I've just matched my 3 cords up again. And I'm going to tie an overhand knot here. And I'm just kind of gauging this, but at the same time, they're about 1 inch apart. So if I take it and I bring my knot so that it pulls together about 1 inch from my original knot, then I think I've got it right. And I decided I was going to incorporate a bit of pink in here too, so I've got some pink jade. And it doesn't really matter which cord you pull to put each bead on, because each time you tie a knot, they kind of mix around a little bit. So when it comes to doing the second side, if your knots were off at all, you may want to work with your cord beside your first side and build the sides side by side so that you get them the same distance apart. So I'm going to keep working on doing this necklace part, and when I get to the back I will show you how I finished it off. See? So here I am at the other end of the necklace. I've got both sides done, and I'm going to basically match my ends up. One thing I didn't do is I didn't put the last knot here, because when I put this bead on I will end up putting a knot there anyways, so I figured I didn't need it. This is an 8mm bead. It is a large hole bead. It has a larger hole than the normal 8mm semi-precious beads, and I picked an Amazonite one to match my stone. So I'm just going to thread the one side on first, and then match the other side up here, and I'm just going to pull it back through that. Oh, and I got every one except one. So we'll just match it up again and keep pushing. Sometimes you need to twist the bead as well to get it to work its way through. And I have one stubborn one that just won't go here, so we'll just try that again. Maybe trim it just a little shorter, get rid of the rough edge. So I'm going to kind of just bury it in the bundle here. So it's not sticking out. There we go. So we'll get all the cords straightened out here. And I'm going to pull that kind of where I want it to sit when it's done. So I kind of want it centered, and I want room for a knot on each side. So if you don't want to use this bead, you actually don't have to. You can tie these knots without the bead in the middle. But we're going to tie slip knots that slip against each other, and it will slip tight. So I'm going to come around my cording here and then through the loop. So you have to come all the way around the cord and then through that loop and pull that tight up against the bead. So there's one side. I'm going to tie the other side before I pull everything super tight. So again, I'm going to come all the way around. I'm holding the loop here, and then through that loop with all three cords. Got two. We'll get the third one yet. There we go. Pull it up tight against that bead. So on my first one, I put some tassels on, And this is kind of controversial because you'll either like these here or you will hate them. It depends whether you have long hair or short hair. Because if you have short hair, you may want to decorate the back of your neck, and this might be what you want. If you have long hair, these will just tangle into your hair and will get in your way, and you may want to just take it, make sure your knot's good and tight, and trim them up nice and close. I would also put a little bit of glue on that knot just to make sure it doesn't pull loose, but it does have wax on the cord, so you can kind of have the security of the wax as well to hold your knot from coming loose. So had I not put any metal beads in this would have been a completely metal-free necklace that someone with allergies could wear. But I did put some metal beads in, so if you're planning for someone that does have allergies, you may want to consider just leaving the metal out. And then as far as the tassel goes, this is where you can get really creative. So you can see I've done a few already. And all I'm really doing is tying my overhand knot again. And then getting creative with some of the beads I have left. And you could even pick out a few special beads, like I've got the heart in there. And then I pulled this guy as well. This is an 8mm bead again, so it's a bigger bead. I figured I'd work it in as well. And let's just slip one more on. And then I just tie another overhand knot at the bottom. So I'll just finish this up and I'll show you the picture when it's done. Have a good day.